Good evening, everybody. I would like to thank you for attending tonight. I would like to call this meeting to order. The time is now 6:29 p.m.
Nobody apple time.
There you go. There you go. First, I want to say thank you all for coming tonight. I want to thank the City Council for joining us on this joint meeting between the Duncanville City Council this evening with the mayor, and thank you for attending. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming. So, Mr. Reggie and Angie, what is the? You over there? Okay. Oh yes. Okay. First thing on our agenda is citizens' comments. So we have one citizen comment card from Maria Vega. Her address is 611 Oriole Boulevard, number 1004, and the subject is put Duncanville on the national news for groundbreaking at first council meeting. So this on the national news, she said this is really good news for a groundbreaking ordinance with a plant ordinance. So thank you, Ms. Vega, for that comment.
Thank you.
Sure.
I have 2 minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Nice to see y'all. I'm Mari Vega, and I just think this would be great. I'm originally from Chicago. My mother received a $600 ticket some years ago because of a weed ordinance that did not specify certain plants and things like that. And she's been campaigning ever since. That is a town that has a split mind. You know, they want to promote green and they want to promote ecological, and at the same time they still have a weed ordinance. If we do this, that puts this town on the national news, I think, because we would be doing something very groundbreaking. Specifying, making it, you know, where we're transitioning away from the lawns. I woke up this morning at 5:30 for someone cutting the grass, literally cutting the grass, and I'm thinking, boy, we will move past lawns. We'll be able to move past this, you know, we've been doing chemicals and fertilizers and weed killers for lawns. We've done this experiment since the 50s. And I think we're seeing that cancer rates and all this, I think we've been learning. And I think we're about ready. I think the nation's ready. I think Duncanville's ready. Thank y'all for considering it. Appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Vega. Okay. We would like to approve the minutes from October 21st, 2003. Yeah, do we have a motion? We have a motion. Okay, do we have a second? Second. Was there a second? Okay, on to and the minutes are approved. Thank you, ma'am. All right, and so now on item number 4, the discussion of regarding education outreach opportunities at Duncanville schools.
Yes.
So as y'all know, I am the ag teacher at Duncanville High School, and so I was raised in the country. So in the past 2 or 3 years, we've discussed reaching out to the various districts in our neighborhood that we have connections to. For example, Duncanville High School with me, we have an existing relationship with Village Tech. They have been to a couple of our meetings with different slogans and items to help advance our mission and purpose. And then there, of course, we have you and me. So we wanted to see what we can do as a council and as Keep Duncanville Beautiful to reach out to them and reach our youth, whether it's kindergarten or whether it's high school. And for example, at my wife's school, she's working with the Texas Master Naturalist, and she has a 1-year-old pollinator garden that she's doing at UME Duncanville. So I want to see what we can do, you know, with our joint forces to help take our mission to keep Duncanville beautiful within our local schools. So I wanted to kind of bring ideas to the table and see what we could come up, and then come up with an action plan with those who want to be involved with that.
So piggybacking off of what Reese was saying, so we have actually been working on a couple different things to increase participation with youth with the DISD and other school partnerships. That was one of the initiatives that we wanted to address at our KDB retreat this year. So moving forward, we have, ideally we've spoken with Smith Elementary and Merrifield Elementary of the DISD, and both of their staff are more than on board with getting us involved with their programming, some initiatives at their school. So Civic Pride is one of the initiatives that they're capitalizing on this year, trying to teach the elementary school students, as well as gardening, so green initiatives within the schools. So I know one of the things they wanted or needed some help with that the board would be able to assist with is a recycling program curriculum. Currently, Republic Services, which is our trash and litter vendor for the city, contractor for the city, they actually have a curriculum online already, TEEPS approved, that can be applied to just about any grade level, K through 12. Ideally, what we would have to do is just come into the school on a certain day of the week or once a month to teach those initiatives to the kids. They already recycle paper, but they're looking to try to expand to plastics and other things like that. Their biggest concerns was the sorting and making sure that they don't get fined for some of those the litter items, the recycling items. But through the joint partnership, through us teaching or partnering with them, I think that we'd be able to impact some of the youth that, they wouldn't be able to have to worry about that. If we teach them the right way to do it, then they can kind of man those programs within the schools and, be able to recycle more. Republic Services is also interested in helping us with this, so they're interested in supplying different recycling bins and helping out with that initiative. They also give back to the community by participating in these programs, so that was a big plus. Next would be the gardening program. So I believe it's Smith Elementary that, it's Merrittdale Elementary that's interested in the gardening program. They're actually trying to do some pollinator gardens and vegetable gardens on their campus. So ideally what they need help with is more of an agriculture curriculum. So how to grow these things, what benefits does it make to them. And then possibly even doing like some, farm to food table programs to show the kids that, vegetables, fruits and stuff, you can eat them fresh off the vine, how they get from the ground to your plate. So they need help with building planter boxes, supplying different, costs of soil, seeds, different things like that, as well as people to be out there hands-on kind of teaching, showing the kids how to do these things. Another good way that the KDP boards could get involved with is volunteer groups and kind of impact them. Beautification. So I know currently we have a couple projects around the city, but beautification is big to them as well. So they want to also participate in a lot of our cleanups. So they're already talking about adopting a couple parks. They also want to be involved in the Armstrong garden renovation. So the 3 Rose Garden, Iris Gardens out front that we have at Armstrong, they want to actually help us renovate those. So that was one of our the parks projects that we're trying to get done this year. They want to be involved in that, so I think that's wonderful since they're right across the street from that. Yes, ma'am?
Do you know, do they have an active PTA or within their schools? Because that'd be the easiest way for us to plug into some more volunteers.
So I don't know if they have an active PTA at the school. The group I've been working with is basically the principal and the innovation supervisors. They're actually the ones kind of leading the conversation between us and them. So they actually have a emerging leaders, which I believe is their 5th grade group.
Okay.
They're the ones that's kind of manning a lot of the program. So currently they're the ones who recycle the paper. The kids each grade dumps it and they'll recycle it, make sure it's right. And they're also the ones kind of leading the gardening programs for the youth as well. So they're the teachers are teaching the 5th graders, and the 5th graders are kind of giving that back to the other grades as well. But I can circle back and see if their PTA would be interested in being involved in these projects as well.
So does that school have a recycle bin on site?
Yes.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Yeah, both of them already have paper recyclable, but I've already reached out to Republic to see if we can get plastic as well to add to that recycle. With the beautification, so adopting adopting parks as well. You piggybacked and said Village Shade, you and me. So a lot of those groups already utilize our athletic fields for games and a couple practices. So they're already actually adopting a couple parks within the city. They're athletic groups. So you and me, Village Tech, Uplift are all adopting parks. That's just a part of our agreement that we have for them to utilize the fields. They adopt a park and commit to those 4 cleanups per year. Another initiative that they wanted to kind of jumpstart as well is kind of a junior KDB program or junior civic pride, group, so getting their kids more involved in what they can do in the city government, like how it works. Whether that be, either participating in board meetings or coming to attend council meetings, getting them involved in what that looks like, how they can benefit, so they can kind of see themselves in those positions. Maybe they can get involved in a couple initiatives, but that's something they're also looking at, getting started as well with us. So again, board responsibilities would be kind of volunteering at these schools or reaching out to other volunteer groups to make sure that we have the bandwidth and the personnel to support these operations. Teaching some of those curriculums outlined by our public services and any agriculture programs, and then helping to lead these activities.
So it's Maryfield and who was the other one?
Smith Elementary. Those are just the two right now.
That you know so far?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, those are the two that I've spoken with.
Regarding the gardening program, has there been thoughts of taking seniors, retired folk that love to work in their yard, to team up with the youngsters to
Yeah, that's a good
teach them how to do it?
It has not been confirmed. We do have a retired teacher sorority, I believe, that we partner with for our little library boxes. I did reach out to them to see if they would be interested in helping with this, but I just haven't heard anything back yet. But that would be a great idea.
Regarding recycling, around 6 years ago, I tried to start a recycling program at Duncanville High School. The big thing that may be going on at a lot of campuses is they're, especially if they're understaffed. And so they like the concept of recycling, but when you add more, job duties to the custodians, they're already divided, doing overtime. Like, for example, the custodian that's in my room, she works three additional hours every day. So it would need to be something where we wouldn't be adding to their load. They want to do it, but it would just need to be something that will be student driven, where we would have a on-campus facilitator, like for example one of us, and then have the students then be the one to go around and collect the recycling from the room and then take it to the bins. That's why I was asking earlier about the bins. So it's student driven, so it could be more sustainable.
No, agreed. And that's one of the things KDB is tasked with, is kind of coming up with those programs to incentivize these operations. So whether it be a competition amongst the schools, or let's say winning class gets a pizza party, KDB would pay for that. I think it was maybe a month ago, there was an art program that KTV had actually started, and they were giving away like a free iPad or something for the one per grade for every kid that submitted or won this art competition. So things like that just incentivize kids participating in the recycling programs. We're always looking for ideas like that. All right. Any more questions on education?
I have so many ideas. I just want to find a sustainable solution so we can put some of these into action. So,
Yes, sir.
All right,
number 5. Okay. So now we talked about this at our October meeting. So this is a great, and I want to compliment Tyler for bringing this up. So for number 5, discussion on prairie restoration at parks and green spaces. So for the council, just let you know, as most of you know, at Lakeside Park, we're on our 2nd year of doing plots there. And so we've done 2 roughly 25, 30-yard square plots there. Yeah, there's 4 now. We did 2 years ago and then 1 last fall. I want to do at least 1 more fall of that. And then I want to thank Tyler, our illustrious liaison. He has that concept of micro habitats. So for example, we want to take that and now do it at some of our small little cul-de-sacs and roundabouts, like for example at Walnut Circle, to where we do some of those to not only beautify smaller patches in the neighborhoods, but also take a little bit of load off of landscaping maintenance off the city. So it's a win-win.
Yes, sir. Following up on those initiatives, again, another big idea that we were trying to prioritize for this year, incentivizing native landscaping. So prairie restoration plots. As he spoke of, Lakeside Park is probably our biggest active plot that we have in the city, and it's last year was blooming beautifully. This year, 2 more plots added, so it'll be another great beauty as y'all walk those trails. We are looking to expand the south side of Lakeside Park to be completely paved, and that's going to take time. With that, we have the hoping to raise some funds and awareness to get people involved in that initiative. we have, our gardening luncheon on April 20th at 11 a.m. So the whole purpose of that, event is to raise awareness of the declining prairie land in the DFW area. So hopefully that'll raise some funds to, get us some more equipment out there so we can, either till the whole or larger areas, get it seeded, get it plotted, and have a vibrant prairie land out there.
Pocket
Sounds
prairie.
like- Oh, that's gonna be a pretty big prairie. So it's gonna be an actual prairie. Go ahead, sir.
So is that still gonna be an outdoor event, being in April like we talked about some time ago?
Yes, sir, yes, sir. So it's not gonna be as illustrious as the gala that we wanted to do. We found we needed a little bit more time to plan that, but gardening luncheon, tickets are on sale, I believe. And tickets on sale? Yes. Tickets are on sale for this event, so it is a catered lunch. And then we'll have a keynote speaker and a board to kind of do Q&A to give awareness to this event or this
And it's
edition.
gonna be at the park under one of the pavilions?
No. So it's actually gonna be on the south side of Lakeside Park near the Prairie Plots. Yeah, so it'll be outside. It'll be in April, so it won't be too hot. But the idea is to get people out there to see that beauty and bring awareness to that area.
It'll be pretty by then.
Do we have a contingency plan for in case of weather, like to move it over to that pavilion? Or plan B?
Oh, if it rains, we'll try and do senior center. But right now we don't have a confirmed contingency plan. So,
Okay, cool.
yes, ma'am.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
What is the marketing plan to kind of let the neighborhood know about what the program is doing, what the event?
The event. So right now I believe it's on our social media. So we are starting the marketing process. Ma'am?
It was listed on the water bill,
Oh,
I believe.
yeah, so it's going out through all of our avenues of social media, the water bill. We could do, I guess, feet on the ground and, alert the neighborhood, let them know what's going on, as well. That would
Yeah,
just be
put
something.
flyers on people's doors
Yes.
that live around there.
Oh, okay, yes.
You gotta wear one of them orange things.
So pollinator parks will be the next part of this incentive to improve or increase native landscaping. So pollinator parks. So right now we have a couple parks within the city that are just pocket parks. They're green spaces that look beautiful. Trying to turn those into pollinator gardens for butterflies, different bird species that are migrating. So Lewis Nichols Park and Oriole Park are the two that we're kind of looking at right now. Those are some larger areas, but they still have some open green space that's not really utilized just because of the space where they are. Yeah, turning them into some pollinator parks would kind of help us increase the utilization of those green spaces for native wildlife. And those two would be kind of managed by park staff, so we would kind of get out there and sow seed, till earth, make sure that they're vibrant and kept clean throughout the year. The residential native landscaping program, how Reese was talking about with at Walnut Circle. So also the city manages a lot of right-of-ways and green spaces through our mowing contract. So ideally, incentivizing either KDB or different groups to turn some of these smaller, green or smaller roads into pollinator gardens as well. That will be managed by volunteers, similar to what we do with the Doppel Park. They put a sign out there to let everybody know who was responsible for this area, and they would be responsible for kind of maintaining it similar to that. Yes, sir.
So I was thinking about this last night. Is there a way that we can reach out to our citizens and constituencies where they can nominate an area? Like, for example, let's adopt it, or where they can see, we have this area that no one's thought of. I would like to have this as a pocket, a micro habitat. So our citizens can take initiative if they have an area near them that they want to do.
Yes, possibly. I'm not entirely sure how, the utilization of all land works. I know Walnut Circle is one of the properties that the city manages.
Yes.
So ideally, putting that onto the native pollinator list would kind of help offset mowing costs, as well as increase, this urban initiative. Other spaces, I wouldn't be able to speak to.
I was thinking the citizens could nominate an area that maybe we overlook.
Like their property?
Well, no, not their property, but if they have like a median near them, like Walnut Circle, something that we're looking, they may have an idea.
So again, I just have to check to see, you know, zoning, whose property it actually is.
Yeah,
If it's not
true.
city managed, then I wouldn't want
Right.
to speak to,
Sure.
you know, allowing them to.
Sure, yeah, we're just talking about city.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Good. Excellent point.
Garden and luncheon partnerships. So I think Reese, you brought up partnering with a lot of these different organizations that also have stake in the game for green initiatives. So Texas Master Naturalists, Texas Master Gardeners, and then the Lad Conservancy Group. Reaching out to those individuals to get involved in their events, as well as personally reaching out to them to attend our cleanups, our different events, gardening workshops, is definitely a priority for the year. Just want to encourage everybody to do that as well. So trying to, I guess, start those partnerships and also put in the work to make sure they're maintained, so that, you know, we have a consistent piggyback off of each other, because we're all working for the same thing, which is to beautify this area down here. So yes, sir.
And do you mind me to put this on your list? One easiest one to apply through is Texas Farm Bureau. They love to help the people where their insurance people live, and they help one of the easiest application processes there is. So Texas Farm Bureau would be good.
Donated stuff.
Oh yeah, donated stuff, curriculum, resources. You know, they're an insurance company, so they do have considerable amount of money. And I've used them probably 6 or 7 times in my years at Duncanville High School. Not since COVID, but that would be good to add to the list. Farm Bureau.
Yes, sir.
So, first of all, thank you for all the work that you're doing on this, and thank you for the board, because this really is, as someone mentioned, I mean, a lot of this is groundbreaking, and it is a shift in the culture of the city as far as perception of what beauty is, and so we're seeing that shift in the whole, just, like I said, the whole culture of the city. And so I want to thank y'all for that. And we haven't even been talking about all the economic benefits to this kind of cultural shift, saving water, et cetera. So there are lots of grants. I know Texas Parks and Wildlife, and we talk about prairie restoration. There are costs associated with that, obviously. So I mean, you're talking about Lakeside, and that's it's a big area. And I mean, that's going to cost quite a bit, but I think breaking up into sections, as y'all are doing, is, you know, a great way to go about doing it. But there are lots of organizations out there that do provide grants for those kinds of projects, for conservation projects. And then I just have one question, because I was at Lakeside on Friday, and two of the plots looked like they were gone. Looked like, and I know I said, I know we sowed seed here and we did these because they're pictures of Don McBurnett pushing a tiller. And so did 2 of the plots get a haircut, or?
Not that I'm aware of. We
Okay.
actually haven't started mowing.
It was mowed, I know for sure once. The new plots were mowed once by mistake. But that was several months, it was 2 or 3 months ago.
Right
So that
after
shouldn't have,
we
yeah.
sown.
It was right after we did, before, that's why I asked for that to be killed, but it hasn't been mowed in at least 2 months. So that's gonna be the key, starting now, that they don't be touched, cause now the emergencies are coming up, so we gotta really leave them alone, or otherwise they're gonna be stunned, and it's gonna take them some time to rebound, so. But I think all 4 of them are cable now.
Okay.
Well,
When you went yesterday, were they still cabled off?
They were cabled, yes,
Okay,
sir, yeah.
all right. The mowing contractor should know not to go over those areas. They won't start until late February though, so.
And I only saw signage on the first 2 that we did.
Yeah,
There wasn't
that's the
signage
ones
on
here.
the here.
That's a good, thank you,
Probably need
council
some
member.
more signs, too.
Thank you, sir, for bringing that up. So, any other questions or comments about item number 5? All right, let's move on to number 6. Discussion and update on current projects and upcoming events. So that's kind of. Do you have something in addition to what we've already covered?
For upcoming events, projects?
Yeah.
Yes, a couple things that we kind of addressed, again, at the board retreat. Did you have questions?
Oh, no.
Couple questions. So board roles and responsibilities. So trying to really get those responsibilities from the board to take initiative of like volunteer recruitment, chairing each event, so kind of being a point of contact for, you know, different vendors, speakers, anything that kind of goes on with that event. And then also having somebody responsible for, you know, prep work and cleanup work. As always, you know, park staff always be there to help set up, pick up, deliver all these things, but just making sure that the board understands, hey, this is our board, this is our city, and we want to be involved in those things. The banner program. So again, I've piggybacked off of this a couple of different times with a couple of different boards, but really trying to get this program started as well. So if you walk through Armstrong Park this year since Christmas, you'll see the new banners that we're proposing to put up on the streets. So currently we have some, I believe they're 30 by 10. They go on the park light poles. Ideally, we want to replace the ones that go on the street. So really, I guess facelifting those entryways, those entryway points of the city. That's actually a part of the KDB's, I guess, call to action. So replacing all of those, and then this will also include the Hometown Heroes banner that we're trying to get started. So managing that program, so that would be kind of taking applications, explaining what that program would be, and as park staff would be the ones putting those banners up and replacing them on a 2 to 3 year cycle. Yes, sir.
With the Hometown Heroes banner program, who is that sanctioned or affiliated with? Is that with KTB or?
No, that's just a program. Yeah, it's a program that incentivizes beautification within Duncanville. There are a couple throughout the DFW that have them also, but ideally that's not anything affiliated with a specific state or community.
I have another idea that I think would really be for our city as a whole, and I really feel strongly about this. I want to do a volunteer fair, if you will. So I want to do something at the library here, someplace. I want to do it months in advance. But I really want to do like a job fair or like a cooking fair, where we in months in advance we promote and say, you know, on such and such date, we're gonna have a volunteer fair where people can come in and get plugged in, whether it's with KDB, the Economic Development Board, or wherever they want, the library, all hands on deck, where people can come in and then we have junior assistants, and I thought this year I want to have like for children volunteers, adult volunteers, and then like we do with and then have our senior volunteers. So we have 3 different groups, so we can have responding for kids at their level, of course working adults such as most of us, and then for those who are retired, who may have more time on their hands, we have something for them. So I want to really have a big fair so we can really enhance the engagement of our citizens. So I'll be happy to be the spearhead of that, because that's something I really feel strongly about. That I want to again find another way for Duncanville to be a shining star as far as community and volunteer engagement.
Yes, sir.
So I'm a fan.
Put that on our agenda and work with you to get that started with the other departments as well as the other boards.
City council, y'all could each take up a.
He's giving you work.
Well, I mean, that would be amazing. I mean, like he said, you said the other night that you had like 130, 100 some odd, volunteers, in your former place. So let's bring that here, and that would be fun to do.
Yeah, put some more people on the KDB.
Let's max out every board. 7 on every board. That'd be good. That should be our goal. Let's max out every board.
Yes, sir, Mr. Patricia.
Just to be clear, for the record, I'm not volunteering.
I don't know.
I have a question. I think you know what I'm doing.
That's good.
I want to expand a little bit on something that I've been interested in for a number of years. I just couldn't get any traction. I haven't really been able to think where would be the best place to generate interest. But on the Hometown Heroes issue, and Tyler and I have talked about this, I witnessed this out in Southern California about 5 or 6 years ago, where 4 towns that were similar to Duncanville, DeSoto, and Blanket all partnered together. And the program was interesting because, our kids all know each other, our families all know each other from the 4 cities. And to see these beautiful 4-color display of actual pictures of these kids that have gone off into some form of service displayed with information on them as well, was just such a reminder that, especially in small towns, that a lot of kids go off to college, a lot of kids go off and go straight into the workforce, but just as many go into the military. And I'm telling you, it gives you goosebumps when you drive down these streets. I didn't know these kids from Southern California, but I could tell that probably everybody that drove down the road knew somebody that was up on one of those banners. And when you partner, and I did check into it with the organization in Southern California that sponsored that, when you get sponsorship from businesses to help offset the cost of these banners, it really makes it a lot easier to manage from a financial standpoint than it's just having the brackets up. And it would appear to me that what happens is it grows. All of a sudden, it's not just Main Street from Cedar Ridge and Wheatland. It grows because there's a bigger demand. People like to see that we're proudly displaying the pictures and the names of these kids that have chosen to go into different services. Even to the extent where some people had memorial type banners included in it from World War II veterans that had passed. They had pictures of, if you can picture of, the color tones in an older picture of somebody that had passed. And it really was just a reminder that a lot of kids get recognized for a lot of things that go on in our school system. But once school's over and these kids decide to make this, when they make this decision to serve, that especially in communities like ours, I would think that we would see an interest in the surrounding cities, be it Lancaster, DeSoto, and Cedar Hill, to do something similar. And it's really a great opportunity to bring into everyone's sight every day these kids that sooner or later you're gonna look up and you're gonna say, I know, he ate at my house, or I know her. And it's just really something really proud. So I would encourage that if you have a chance to have a presentation on the program itself, and maybe that's where you're headed. I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but I would encourage you to look into that program, because I think here in Duncanville, I think it would fit really well. And I even went ahead and got a little creative and said we could call them hometown champions to fit in with our theme here in Duncanville. So just my 2 cents. I'm proud when you showed me that y'all were at least touching on that, and you brought it up tonight. So it's something that I think would be really worthwhile.
Yes, sir.
I just gotta share an example real quick. So, I've been at Duncanville High School now for 3 years, and I had a student that graduated 6 years ago. I'm gonna try not to cry, but she always thought she wanted to be a companion animal vet. So she's now at Texas Tech. She changed her major from companion animal science, so now she wants to go into livestock veterinary science, and she graduated last May, and she emailed me back in late October saying she's considering now getting her master's, and she says, I'm gonna see how she told me in an email, I'm gonna see how I burn out, and then maybe I'll become a livestock vet. So that's a good example of what you're saying. All right, so now thank you.
Next project, I'm already.
Yes, sir.
So the seed library program, the seed catalog program with the library, so that would be another update on the project that we're working on. So the library is starting to do seed cataloging for different plants, vegetation, and they're asking that we kind of help with that, since we have a lot of knowledge in this area. So ideally, we'd be kind of helping them to figure out which species of vegetation or plants work well here, which ones we should keep in stock. Just partnering with them to make sure that program is a success.
That's perfect for the native landscaping in people's yards, because it'd be a resource.
Yeah, so I figured we'd be a good partnership for us. Upcoming gardening workshop, so update on that. So we have secured our 2 speakers for that event. That is March 9th here at the Senior Center. Yes, I was just about to say we need to start working on gathering our raffle prizes. Set up and break down who's gonna work open and closing, the sign-in desk, and then somebody to MC kind of introduce those speakers, and just kind of run the raffles or call out the raffles. So there's things to be thankful for. Yes, sir.
I think we would have, can you email us a letter that says that we're sanctioned with the city, so we can?
Absolutely. We have a template we can send out after this meeting. Business Beautification Award and Curb Appeal Award presentation. So we have already secured our 5 Curb Appeal winners and Business Beautification Award winner for the next presentation. So this will be our spring award winners. So just making sure that everybody who all can be there will be at the council presentation to present those awards to those individuals.
And when is that date?
March 5th.
So
March
pretty
5th.
soon we have to go collect, huh? Go
Yes,
collect
we will have to go
those
collect those signs and move them to the
Okay.
next part.
And have the co-appeal winners been notified?
We were, I'm taking pictures, I don't think the formal letter has been sent yet.
Because I know I sent a picture on my
I think
percent.
it's the next for spring, but it's.
Yeah, I understand. Also, this may be looking ahead, this might be something for another meeting, but have we also talked about for potentially if the ordinance passes for the green co-appeal winners, for those that have?
We have not, but that is something that we need to take into consideration for the landscape ordinance in general. I actually have a section on that. So ideally coming up with any type of training program for people that want to participate in that. And also incentives to, highlight the people that are participating in it.
Exactly.
To the city, similar to the curb appeal.
Exactly.
So yeah. That's all I have for updates on projects.
All right, so now we're gonna move on to agenda item number 7, in the native landscape ordinance. Can I give a big shout out? So I wanna almost give our new city manager and Tyler, I just wanna give them a big kudos, as a site supervisor, credit kudos, because they've been very open, very supportive, very collaborative with that process. So I wanna thank Tyler and Mr. French for your for being so open to suggestion, and also to Councilmember Don McBurnett for offering a platform at his open house for that to happen. So it's very gratifying to know that you're supported and appreciated by your city council. So I'm going to thank you to the three of you for doing that.
Alright, so as you all know, we've been working tirelessly to get this ordinance process so you can approve. A quick recap, so on March 20th, 2023, we brought a draft to you all to kind of look over to see what type of program or ordinance you wanted to submit to council. That is in your board presentation documents. It should be introduction, this is the initial ordinance or verbiage and application that we were originally, that you all originally approved. April 4th, I began doing briefings with council, getting direction on what to move forward with. January 9th, I believe we had a briefing to council on the native pollinator garden that we were trying to pass the ordinance. So ideally, you have 4 documents or 3 documents. The first one is going to be the document that we were taking to council on January 9th or February 9th. The second one is going to be the feedback and edits that we're taking into consideration on the next council agenda tomorrow. So I just wanted to bring this to you all tonight to get a formal, some type of formal recommendation on which one of these variations you want to support, right? Because the last time we had approved formal action was on 2023 in March, so a year ago. So just making sure that everything in here is what you want. So the original ordinance draft comparison, so a couple of differences. So the approval process through the permitting department is still something that we're trying to facilitate. The no height restrictions is currently on the edited document. Limited border requirement. So I believe originally it was like a mower's length of cut grass or stone or some type of border to separate the native plant from the lawn or ornamental lawn. And allowing planting in the roads and utility easements is something that we talked about in the feedback document. Maintenance requirements, so cutting it down from twice a year, cutting it back twice a year to once a year. And then training requirements, so the training that we're gonna be working on for the participants of this program, it will be optional, not required. And then expansion to commercial areas as well as native areas. So just making sure, I just wanted to start some conversation around some of these topics. The differences between, I guess what was brought to y'all in March of 2023, because it was a different board and Currently, that's what we have for tomorrow going to council. So just making sure we get some form of, yes, this is what we want, this is what, we wanna move forward with. Yeah, so if you wanna discuss it, if anybody sees anything that they don't wanna have on there or want to have on there, start with some discussion and then some type of formal action to, hey, yes, this is what we support.
I have a question about the limited border requirement, where is that?
In the updated one,
Yes.
It may have been deleted. I've looked at this document at least 10 times, and it may have been, in the red line edition, it may have been deleted, but there, and that was in the original that I wrote, 2 years ago, but I can't think off the top of my head seeing it in the red line edition, because I think it was taken out.
Oh. Planting beds to be separated, under planting beds, so section 1269, planting beds, shall be separated and clearly defined from turf and other areas by edging, fence, rock, or similar material or spacing.
Yeah, you added or spacing.
Or spacing, okay.
Perfect.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was gonna ask if spacing could be inch, 6 feet. Do we wanna have, maybe some specific, language on this, so it's clear to both of the resident that wants to have it and the neighbor, what the spacing is supposed to be?
That's a good question. On the original document that we did with the former KDB, we had a 5 foot buffer on the original, yeah. So but on the one that the city attorney submitted, that was based on Louisville's document, it wasn't in there, so it was on the one that we did 2 years ago, it's now not on this one. So there was originally a 5 foot buffer, which
Between your property and the neighbor's.
Yeah.
Unless they approve.
yeah, I mean, if they don't care, and they're fine with it, but that's to answer your question specifically on the original document, there was a 5 foot buffer for those neighbors who do have a legitimate concern.
But are you asking, should that be listed in this one?
I was gonna see if we could have something that did have that, it spelled that out a little bit clearer. I think it would
Yeah,
kind of help
that part should get
to
put
make
back
sure
on.
that.
Okay, so the spacing between neighbors' property or different
Yeah.
planter beds? Okay.
Yeah, I
Good
remember
point.
that, because I found it in other ordinances from other cities.
Do we wanna stick with 5 feet?
Yeah, 5 feet's good. Because 5 yards is good. I thought about 5 yards. 5 yards is pretty
We
wide.
got tiny yards.
Yeah. 5 feet will be a good round number. Good question.
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Explain to me the thinking around the annual cutting. Grass must be cut a maximum height of, it was removed 10 inches twice per year in March and August. So should this read perennials and ornamental grasses must be cut to a maximum annually? Or what's,
Oh, that is a great question. Because there are some flowers and plants that have a niche. Because most plants and flowers will blossom, between February and say May. Their spring, that's what they're famous for, like your blue box, for example. But there are some, for example, Maximilian sunflower, that can get as tall as a ceiling. And the reason why is because they're growing and growing and growing, and then they come up with a flush of like 40 flowers, on a 9 foot tall plant, and they bloom in September. So that's why.
okay,
And then there's some that are like that, because that's her niche. And then, for example, your monarchs and your butterflies are migrating too. Nothing else blooming in the late summer because it's hot and dry. So there are plants that are with blooms like that fill in that niche. So that's why we have that.
In his yard. I've seen them.
oh, so I'm familiar with the sunflower's height. Perennials and ornamental grasses, that would also only be required to just be cut annually?
Yes, ma'am, and so the best time to do that is during the dormant time, and of course, with our late North Texas winters, you know, it depends on with climate change and all that, I wanna go on that, but a good window will be between December 15th and February 15th. The best time to cut your roses, for example, is Valentine's Day, because then, of course, 2 or 3 weeks after that, you know, when, you know, late February, early March, then it starts getting to be warmer like now, for example, and you can see, go look at your roses, they're starting to leaf up and bud out. So that's why we did it annually in the late winter and early spring.
And there's some grasses that their roots go as deep as the plant is tall.
Right. To
So if
sustain
you
it.
cut it, they never make the really deep roots. The point of it is, once they look dead, they should be cut. And that's when the window is between those months, but once they look like they're dead, they're not, but once they look dead, that's when you cut them down.
Right, I understand that because bluebonnets, you don't wanna cut before they're dormant.
Right,
Exactly.
Because they have to seed over,
right.
and that's pretty much how other probably ornamental flowers and plants are.
Mhm.
Who will be inspecting to see, enforcing to see that, okay,
We've been
it's
talking
down
about that
there,
quite a bit, we've been
then-
talking about it a lot. So,
is there any
you want to take-
enforcement
you want me to
around
take-
it?
I was about to say,
So we've been kind of talking about that, and so we kind of took on a hybrid model where KDB would assist with that, and then also our Texas Matcher and Match Naturalist, and then, you know, just making sure that our code enforcement officers are aware as well. But for those who take the initiative to be official native landscapers with the sign and application and all that, which we don't know what it's gonna be for the first year or two, but I know for me, for example, I would be happy to go with code enforcement and say, hey, you know, that's caribou stem, you know, that shouldn't be there, that's John's grass, that be there. But those who really care about this, I'll be gonna go and say, hey, good job, good job, good job, maybe tweak this, but overall you're good. Here's your sign and just keep on doing what you're doing and you're in.
So, I was about to say, piggyback off of that, so code would be the original inspector, just like they do with all of our other residential and commercial properties. Some of the conversations I've had with them around the native landscaping ordinance would be, they're not really subject matter experts on all ornamental grasses, native grasses, so their concern would be, when they go to these properties, they're not entirely sure what to look for, what's not supposed to be there, what should be there. They have a basic knowledge of it, but as far as extensive, what to look for, what seeds, what things look like dormant, they actually don't have those expertise. So partnering with KDB Board, Master Naturalist, Texas Native Prairie Society, those all volunteer organizations would also be the ones that we would call on for subject matter experts on, hey, I got a complaint about this yard, I need a second opinion on what should or shouldn't be there. So
And
they would
they'll
be.
have an approved plan that it's supposed to be as well.
Yes, so based on the schematics, so that was another question I believe you got. The schematics would just be a plan of the property's yard, and then what they plan to put within a designated area. They would, the residents or planners would have to know what plants need to be in there, so ideally when we get with KDB or Master Naturalist, we would have a list of what plants should be in this garden or plot. That way they can kind of help identify what this is, what shouldn't be there, what's not supposed to be there, and move forward, so.
A question.
Yes, sir. I saw 2 hands, I'm sorry.
Well, I was,
Yeah, he was
a
Yes,
long
sir.
time ago.
Yes, sir.
To facilitate tomorrow night, in our agenda for tomorrow night, we have a complete copy and we have a red line. There's a red line you have just given us tonight, the same red line that's on our agenda for tomorrow night.
Yes.
And is that red line being discussed tonight? And if y'all are gonna make changes to this red line tonight, is it going to change what we see in our agenda for tomorrow night, a complete document?
No.
No, because your agenda's already published, you would have to amend it.
So, to facilitate tomorrow night, I think if we can get some discussion tonight in terms of what we're seeing on this red line, when y'all surprised us last time about, all of a sudden you came in with amendments at the 11th hour, that's why we had a table, to give ourselves some time to digest this. And as you all know, we're in favor of this thing, we just didn't have time to.
Of course,
those
yeah.
amendments.
I was back with you, I agree.
Okay. And so, are those amendments as they were specifically identified last time, they don't show us amendments in the red line that we have now. So have those amendments been incorporated as the red line, and is this red line now what we're gonna see tomorrow night in final?
When you say, the amendment, so ideally, a lot of the things that we're talking about tonight, we the programming aspect, not necessarily that were written into the ordinance.
Tyler, if I can help you for a second.
Yes,
So,
sir.
the ordinance that was on the last agenda that was attached to the staff report, that's the one that you tabled. If you adopt the red line version in its entirety as amended, that should encapsulate all of the changes that they have.
That's what I'm asking. So
Yes,
this is what I'm
exactly.
asking, this red line
Yes.
incorporates what we saw as amendments last time,
Correct.
not identified
Everything
as
is
amendments.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, so for tomorrow night's agenda, that's what I'm saying, we can facilitate tomorrow night, getting all this stuff out of the way tonight. If you have any questions, we can go through the red line.
And this is
And
the
red
Bible right
line,
here.
and the red line becomes, actually enact tomorrow night.
Exactly.
You could, make a motion to amend that one to this
Right.
in its entirety.
So that's what I'm trying to get, I'm trying to help us out for tomorrow night. So we had questions, we can eat through this stuff tonight, facilitate tomorrow night, and just work through this, you know.
Perfect.
So if there's any,
I like it.
does anybody have any problems with the red line? Yeah, Greg.
Well, it's not that I have a problem, and it's not necessarily exactly what you're speaking of, but I like where you're headed with this. But I just have to ask this question. Have we talked to other cities that have implemented similar programs and gotten feedback about the best way to kick this thing off, so we don't have to learn painfully how, for mistakes that they could warn us ahead of time, don't do this, or here's what you can expect. So have we had conversations?
Yes, so the only, I guess, city that has a formal program, is Louisville, which I've kind of been in contact with their, Parks and Rec department, because they have a, native resource or a native resource coordinator. Their program is the pollinator program that I briefed, you all on, I believe it was sometime in January. Basically, it was a pilot program that they started with maybe 40 to 50 properties. And they were kind of working through all the kinks of the program before they had any type of formal ordinance changes to their policies and procedures. So far, they've had a successful program. They've only been running it for about a year and a half. So ideally, theirs is a 2-year pilot program, so they still have about half a year to complete it. But they haven't had any I guess, challenges or things they didn't already foresee to changing the perception around what beauty actually looks like. That was probably the biggest concern.
It tracks pretty similarly to this.
Yes. So ideally, what I did was took their program and worked with the city attorney at the time, kind of trying to write that into an ordinance.
That's the way to do it. And the second, last question is, I have read through this. This specifically applies to people that have applied to get into this program. So we can track, it's controlled in that manner.
Yeah.
So it
Yes.
won't apply to, say, an open field somewhere where, somebody's just been letting it grow.
This is residential.
Yeah, I was about to say, to piggyback off of that, I remember we spoke about the commercial aspect. That was something I wanted to get some feedback on as well, as far as how to proceed with that, because that makes a totally new process.
Commercial, residential and commercial zone property to determine.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm looking at page 86 under section 5, where it's a red line, it says that, amendment upon conviction shall be punished by a fine not to exceed the sum of, it spells out $500, it says 500 is more through, and it's 250.
I had a question about that too. It's, the way Tyler explained it to me is it's kind of a, we felt that $500 was too extensive, but it's, and this is a good question, so with the 250, is that per month or per, so how does that look like to, let's say you get a citation, how does that money look like? Is it, because it's a little ambiguous, it says per day, is it like per month, per week?
So I think you were talking the error.
No, I'm saying the error.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
I'm saying the
So
error,
that's-
it
that's-
should be written out 250.
yes, ma'am, I was about to say, on the document that you all have tomorrow in the council, agenda, that's actually corrected. This one was a PDF
Oh,
that I
okay,
couldn't
I
actually
just didn't know.
So that's
But it does
perfect.
each event store.
But to answer your question, you were asking kind of, how the fine would work. It would be in line with the other fines or, that the city kind of facilitates on property owners for, not following specific ordinances. But the actual fine amount was something that we needed to discuss with council, tomorrow, so. That's what we said about that.
Right. And also, just very nitpicky, I read this 3 times, and on page 1 where it says, the city council determined that a ordinance that should be, changed to and, so I was, there. But- mhm.
Which,
On page 1, but for the city council, I would like to highlight the 3 big rocks of this, if I may, that I think are the 3 highlights that can make us as council member, and y'all said truly groundbreaking is number 1. The thing that is great about this is number 1, there is no height limit on native plants, like Ms. Whitten was saying, there's no height limit, like with the standard ordinance, it was 12 inches. Number 2, it's not gonna be a pilot, and so we're not gonna borrow trouble. That's something that we were talking about in our DNC meeting, is like, well, if we only do it 3 years, then someone's gonna come out as a
Spend
potential,
thousands
yeah.
of dollars on their.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And naysayers, and you're gonna spend thousands of dollars, and they're like, it's taken away, and they're gonna be upset. And then number 3, the individual freedom, and so the part of a great thing about democracy, this is gonna be for everybody, it's not. And for those of us who are interested, it gives us the avenue to express our worldview of taking, using our card as not only a habitat restoration project, but also, to show what can be done, besides just pouring, thousands of dollars. And to Mr. Contreras' point, I did email the Texas Metro Naturalists and the Native Plant Society, and what appeals most to the general person is 2 things. I don't know if y'all know this, but especially from the months of April to September, 70% of people who have non-native yards, 70% of their water bill goes to what? Irrigation. Of Bermuda grass and long. And then number 2, the native, did y'all know that 70%, no, I want to tell you about 8% of pollinator species look for pockets in certain areas, and there might be a wetland, there might be a certain field, for example, the Texas Piner, there are playas. But if we can get enough people on board with this, we might say, hey, birds might share, say, hey, Duncanville is a great place to go and stop on your way down to Mexico. If Louisville and Duncanville and DeSoto, hey, birds, there's a great place in the South Dallas area. So if we can get enough cities and constituents on board, starting with Duncanville, we bring monarchs here because of, we turn 1 to 10 to 100 to 1,000 or whatever. So.
There's a question. Mr. Stevens, did you get an answer to your question? I think it was on section 1269, subparagraph A. Did you get an answer to your question about that?
yes, we said 5 feet, I believe. 5 feet.
Well, that's gonna be another change.
Yeah.
Because
when
right
we-
now, that is not defined, it just says space.
Yeah, we talked about that.
So tonight, you're going to be adding a dimension to this.
I was aware, I was aware.
So the idea was to have council's feedback on these things to change tomorrow also, because these were just the edits that we're asking.
But I was hoping that we get this clear tonight, so tomorrow we approve this thing for you.
Yeah,
But
it's not
if
clear.
you're making a change, Mr. Stevens has requested a change. So if you're gonna do that and you're gonna approve it, we'll know what we're looking at tomorrow night.
Yes, sir.
When you make a motion, is what you're saying?
Well, I would ask a question first about that. Do we know if the Louisville model that we designed this after had a buffer? Did they have a 5-foot buffer between
Yes.
neighbors?
Yes, sir, theirs is actually a little bit different than this one now. Their pollinator program was basically plots within a yard. Ours is more so expanding to the entire yard. minus the 5-foot buffer on your neighbors, adjacent to your neighbor's property.
But did they have, in any situation, did they have any references to buffers?
Yes, they had restrictions on theirs, no right of ways, no public medians, 3 feet away from sidewalks, different things like that. No thorny
What about
plants.
the neighbors?
Neighbors was the same thing. I believe theirs was a mower's strip. So the size, maybe a 12-inch mower. I don't think they were specific. It was specific. It was a mower, like a lawnmower's length, away from your neighbor's property. for the
Yeah,
little
one of
strip
the
mall.
challenges, and I'm glad the mayor's brought this up, is when that neighbor decides he doesn't like the way 20 feet of 12-inch seemingly dead grass looks, it may not be that he wants it 12 inches away, they may prefer 5. So this will be a point of discussion for us. And different neighborhoods are gonna have vastly different opinions about how far they want that, at the moment, the unsightly vegetation to be from their property lines. They may still be pure St. Augustine people, and they don't like that right up against their property, so.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I believe that's part of the reason why they started as a pilot program, just so they could see how this works out for their residents, for their citizens, how they manage it. So
We wanna get this, we wanna get this right the first time, so that
Yeah,
the city manager doesn't get that call next spring.
we're not there, that's, you know, that's what I'm saying, you know, Don, you had a question too, but if you're gonna change this tonight, let us know. Because what we're looking at tomorrow night is gonna be different than
That's
what's in
easy.
our
That's easy.
agenda.
well, ideally, I wanted to get formal action from the board tonight, because this is the first time we
Exactly,
met
that's
since.
what we're here, great, you know, the timing is perfect.
Yes, sir.
And we're happy
Thank
to
you.
hear all this, we wanna hear all your changes, so we know what we're looking at tomorrow night, because what's in our agenda may be different from what you could be putting out right now.
Just putting the 5 feet there.
Don, you
So
had a
5-foot buffer spacing.
Do we need to make a motion to that, or?
Well, at the end, I'm making all the edits and just doing those. as
One
well,
big
so.
thing, yeah, okay.
Just there's a page 7 of 6, section, section 12-70, subparagraph (9). City's expense, that should be CITY apostrophe S, not city's plural. And usually that's a capital C, we're referring to.
Because it's proper, the proper noun. Like
In
ordinance.
legal language, the city is capitalized so that we know it's this city.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's just, if you make that typo, that'd be good.
Yes, sir, thank you. Any other?
Another question.
Yes, sir.
And I thought this was in here, but we've been looking and we haven't found it. Can organized neighborhood associations opt out of this?
Like HOAs, for
Oh, yeah,
example?
they have their own rules. It
Yeah.
has nothing to do with them.
Does that say that anywhere in here? That-
I don't believe it does.
But that would be something that HOA would decide,
Yeah, we
you
don't
know?
have to say that.
Yeah, that's kind of, that would be something they would do at a homeowners meeting.
whether
But the ordinance,
HOAs can
the
opt
ordinance
out?
would exist, but it's up to the HOA to adopt or reject
Yes.
the ordinance based on what they have in their own HOA. I don't think we have to get
Yes.
specific to say anything about HOAs. There'll be an existing ordinance for the city, they can do what they want with it.
Exactly. I thought about that.
Could that be added to the permitting process?
No, and that complicates things.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking, do, yeah. That's it, that's ball in trouble.
What else? You know, this is great that we do this now, so we know what we're looking at for tomorrow night.
That's why I'm like, I'm not with you.
Restrictions is good. Cut, I really, it's good to ask about the cut annually, so it's still good, cut annually once a year. So is there a minimum height that it
Does
should be
it
cut
say,
to?
oh, yeah, the 10 inches?
The 10 inches?
Uh-huh.
Well, the 10 inches was, that was stricken, and it is now just annually.
Yes.
So my question,
What section was
that is on page 5 of 6, the last, item.
I see it.
Yes, so you may wanna reword that sentence so it can read properly. But as far as the 10 inches, I was asking, basically my point was getting to the managing of it. Now, you have the application, you know who will be in the program, and you know how to recognize or train whoever you're gonna do it, to recognize when they are dormant and when it's time for it to be cut down. I do understand why you wanna remove the 10 inches, because you have certain flowers that won't bud or blossom until they're well past 12 inches, such as the sunflowers we discussed. So that makes sense, it's just,
Has that been changed to 12 inches?
no, 12 inches, the 10 inches was removed.
Right, and it says not, read the paragraph as it's been amended, it makes no sense.
Right, that's what I just told him, he may wanna amend that,
Yeah,
edit it
The
to
language
read
doesn't make any sense
well.
as it's amended.
yeah,
where
I,
the flow.
I saw this morning, I recommend from the board to make it where it should be cut down to 12 inches, because that's what the old ordinance said, annually between those two said months.
That's all you gotta say.
Yeah, just add a 12 inch, there should,
No, I'm not saying that you need to add the inches.
okay,
I'm saying that if you're gonna say annually, then restructure your sentence where it reads well.
Doesn't make
Because
any
it
sense
doesn't,
as it's written.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And I understand why you are removing the 10 inches, what you had previously. That was what my points, what I was saying. I was trying to
Yes,
get an
ma'am.
understanding as to why we removed it. And then, now I understand that, now you wanna restructure your sentence.
right, no, I agree, so. So we wanna
So
reformulate
we just
that,
gotta cross out the,
Just rewrite it so it makes sense.
yeah.
Go in there, Richard.
right,
Now, what I was asking, so if they make the amendments tonight, being that this was posted, is this something that we can vote on tomorrow?
Yeah, that's my whole point,
Yeah.
is if we get this thing tonight, so we know what we're looking at tomorrow, and as Mr. Finch said, our agenda's already been posted, so what we have on our packet is different than what they're doing tonight.
Right.
So we're gonna actually see something different handed out to us tomorrow night, or during the day, an email during the day sometime, saying this is the amended ordinance as discussed in the joint meeting tonight, and that's what we're gonna be looking at for adoption tomorrow night.
Can I ask a question about that? Would you be better off leaving what's attached to the agenda? And then we send you, looks like 4 or 5 proposed amendments that you could make to the red line version? Because
Yeah.
that's already published.
That'll work.
As
Now we
long
know,
as the
if we do
attorney-
that tonight, then we know what we're looking at tomorrow night.
Right.
Yeah.
As long as the attorney doesn't think that it's substantial. I think that's the thing. If he thinks that there's substantial changes, it might have to be re-advertised. I gotta double check with
Exactly.
him.
That's what my question was about, the 72-hour window. And it's already been posted as
Yeah.
is. Can we still make a move on it tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It's gonna be a little dicey, I think, but as long as we understand where we're going with this thing tomorrow night. As a result of tonight, we can get this done tomorrow night.
well, to go back, we did the same thing with the lab property, we discussed changes during that action meeting with the lab property, and we still made a positive vote on doing a lead on it, so it would be similar to that, cause we had discussion
Yeah,
that,
'cause we're not
at
talking
the
about
meeting.
big changes, just
Yeah.
little
Okay.
things like-
Yeah, Doug, I think your approach is gonna work for us, we'll work with that.
Thank you.
Anything else that needs to be addressed? Planting of roads and utility
Jeremy.
maintenance requirements. Oh,
Chairman?
Just two questions really. So in section 1268, page 3 of 6, so it talks about the schematic plan, and then it has a list of prohibited plants, right? And Bermuda grass and St. Augustine are on that
Yep,
prohibited list.
But there,
that can't
is
be,
it's a good question, is the intent that those grasses are not permitted where this is going to be a landscape plot?
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna go around the city and tell me and everybody else, you gotta get rid of your
no,
Bermuda
you
and
can still
Augustine.
have it around, if you don't do your entire land, you probably still have some of that other grass.
Oh, his
It's
land
just
is,
saying, don't plant it.
his question is very, very pertinent because the use of those plants in this list applies only to somebody providing a schematic of where they're putting that plot in their land.
Yes.
It disapplies to anybody having just a regular yard without one of these things.
I know how to address that. So the way carpet grass and Bermuda grass grow, they seldom will get over 12 inches tall unless they have a lot of rain. But if you're saying that you wouldn't have a native plant ordinance and you have a dominant yard of St. Augustine and Bermuda, well, that ain't gonna work, cause
You
they're,
can't get it out.
yeah, they're not
That's
natives.
not the point. That's not the point. The point is that those are listed in invasive species not to be planted in these plots.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So there may be some more definitive language to say you can't put it in the pot, but if you have a yard and you don't have a pot, you can do Bermuda grass in St. Augustine, nobody's gonna care.
I guess,
See the problem?
well, so I brought it up, so I guess it's, and maybe this is just a different conversation. Because, I mean, kudzu's on that list, right? And, yeah, and then obviously this doesn't impact someone who doesn't get the permit, but there's a paradox here, there's a contradiction, because most of the yards are St. Augustine, Bermuda grass, right? We just listed it as an invasive. So, you know, I don't know if it needs to come off of this list, so, you know, it's kind of weird, I can have Bermuda grass on one side of the
Does my
spacing,
point
but I
make
can't have it on the
sense?
other
No,
side.
the point did not make sense, and his makes perfect sense, because I think what
Well-
we need to do is eliminate those two from this list.
Well,
I don't know.
if you,
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with that, only, this is only, if I'm understanding correctly, this is only if you sign up for this program.
exactly, that's my
It
point.
has no impact on anybody else with the full, 100% St. Augustine lawn.
But it,
And I agree, and that's the whole point, but they're listed in here, I think it's gonna be confusing to the general public reading this ordinance. Well, I can't have a Bermuda grass lawn
So
anymore.
there might need to be some.
If they're not in the native, if they're not in the native landscaping ordinance, well, they can keep on doing what they want. It's only if you claim Bermuda grass in the native landscape ordinance, which,
Well,
you know,
there needs
don't
to
know
be,
that.
there needs to be very definitive language pertaining to what this particular section is, so that people that have Bermuda grass and St. Augustine lawns are not affected by this ordinance.
well, they'll know that. Most,
No. I am sorry, Reese. I'm sorry. This is gonna have long-reaching negative effects if we don't clear this out.
And it wasn't meant to, again, it was, you know, I was asking a question, maybe it should have just been stated as an observation, but again, and, you know, China berries on there, people have China berry trees, but do we just need to take some of these off of this list? Because it is, there's a contradiction here, right?
Well,
Right now, I have St. Augustine in my yard, right? This states that it's an invasive. I've got China berry trees.
So I think it's just.
And that's why I was saying that maybe this is just a different conversation, but why include them on this list
well, because
if I can have them on the other side of the bricks anyways?
my thought process, from my perspective, is that those who are claiming because of neglect or disconcern, I'm growing, I wanna have a native plant ordinance, but they don't do their research and their legwork, and they say, well, I wanna have this native plant ordinance, but maybe they're not ill-informed that you can't grow St. Augustine and Bermuda grass and still be on it, cause maybe they don't know. But this list will give a foundation. Now with the ordinance, we can't really cross all our T's and dot all our I's, but people who went beyond on the native plant ordinance, they're gonna know that there are other turf grasses such as buffalo grass, such as Gulf trident, such as blue grama. And so they're gonna try and diminish that, but we know the way, for the past 89 years, that Bermuda grass and St. Augustine is gonna still be a part of most lawns, according to the way it was, but
yeah, my whole yard is St. Augustine. It was there when I moved there 30 years ago. I don't put any chemicals on it, I just mulch and mow, but it's staying alive. I water it enough to keep it alive because I don't have the back to take it. Once it gets established, it's really hard to get rid of it.
So if we change,
So,
in section
it's not gonna apply to me where-
section 12-68, if the language we were to be amended to say, the schematic plan for a native landscape garden, which goes back to the language that's in 12-63. if it says the schematic plan for a native landscape garden shall be limited. I think that would define where you can and can't use this, that maybe it's gonna be a moot point.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all, but if we're looking at this from how this thing flows and makes sense, we've taken out the reference in 1267, the schematic plan of native landscape. We don't reinsert that reference, and 1268 says the schematic plan shall be limited. Well, you see, we're
We
just.
took it out and we put it back in.
Yeah, but it's not, it doesn't connect with anything. We have to go back in and start by explaining somewhere why a schematic plan or where a schematic plan plays into this whole document.
He's right.
And right now, by 1267, you've taken the word schematic plan out, and now you're reusing it.
I see, yeah.
So it's not, that doesn't kind of make sense, or there's not a connection there. So that's something easily fixed, but it should be fixed.
Yeah, he's right.
Well, the main difference between, section 67 and 68 is that when we made that amendment, is that we wanted, unless it directly conflicts with with water lines and stuff, we want to have a schematic plan is just a map or layout of the plants that are in the native landscape in your ordinance. So yeah, I just think we need to take out,
The
that,
50% part that we did.
yeah, that was the main part, yeah.
Saying it can only be half of your yard. Well, you can
So-
take it off.
Schematic plan ought to be put back in instead of be taken
Well,
out.
maybe using the language that was eliminated in 1267, that's what,
What says the native landscape, the schematic plan for the native, I
Yeah,
think if that was put back into 12.6,
68.
67,
it would make more sense.
That's one.
yeah.
Without the 50%.
Yeah, so in other words, put a
Right.
dot, okay, look at this, let's put a dot, it says, the schematic plan of native landscape material permitted in the ordinance. And then just put a dot after the word ordinance, and then go on to where it says where sidewalk, so forth and so forth.
And then one last thing I would say, that at the end of 1268, I would say, in no event may the native plant include, but I would say, in no event, to connect it with this process, so that it doesn't confuse somebody that thinks they're in violation because they got St. Augustine, that's not involved. You could do it in that sentence right there, by just rephrasing it, in no event,
Shall the schematic,
for people that wanna be involved in this program, may native plants be included, and then you could put that on there. 'Cause then you're, you're making a clear distinction between people that are in this program versus the people next door that has the pure St. Augustine
yeah,
grass.
that, I
and they
like
don't
that, that's an
In
excellent
no
point.
event may the native plant schematic include, just put the word
Yeah,
schematic.
that's
between
good.
them.
You pitch it to us and we'll see.
No, that's good.
Well, in that case, because we're only talking
It
about
would
the
be a good idea
native
to take it out just in case you wanted to implement native landscaping within your St. Augustine. All you would
That's what
need
I
is a buffer.
plants.
So if you had a 12-inch buffer, you wouldn't have to worry about it invading the native grasses. You would still have both. And that might cut out some of the cost as far as somebody coming in ripping out their whole yard and trying to make it all
Yes,
native. And not trying to stay in I guess,
Right.
violation of the ordinance.
It's all on you, Tyler.
Oh, Lord.
Because that was,
No pressure, sir. No
that's a
pressure.
good point, because that was my question, why couldn't we still allow for the Bermuda and the St. Augustine grass, as long as there is that buffer between, like, let's say if I wanted to do this in my flower bed, and I still wanna keep my yard the way it is, but I want my flower bed to be native landscaping. What would prohibit that from,
Ideally, we may just need to go back, because all we did was take the North Central Texas Landscape Certification Program and take their invasive species list and put it, or apply it into this ordinance. It may just be a good idea to go through and list out exactly what invasive species you don't want included in this program. That might work specifically just for that.
I thought originally this was an example list.
Just example.
Well, just an example list, not that this was, if these are in there, oh, we are out. These were just an example, because there's literally hundreds of invasive species that could be under this was initially, I think, maybe Mr. Hager could go into more detail, but this was just an example of this, of some.
No,
Well-
Reese, the language is so specific in legalese, it says in no event, that ties us down to a legal, it's not an example, that's what this is.
So can we just say that, you know, example native plants not to include, you know, examples of native plants not to be include these?
Just take out the whole thing.
Take out the whole list?
Yeah, because they have to get approved what they're putting in anyway.
That's true.
So if they put in something that's invasive, we'll just tell them, no, that's invasive. Just take out the list.
I'm glad you got that.
That seems easier.
Okay.
I think a big part of this,
So they need to be educated, whoever wants to do it,
educate.
it's gotta be educated on what to do, so they don't need that.
This is on you guys.
Yeah. They gotta be educated.
My whole point of all of this was make it as easy for people to want to do it,
Tyler and I
which
were
is why
just,
we didn't like the other one.
Tyler and I were just talking, maybe take the native or the invasive species list and add that to the application, take it out of the ordinance.
There you go,
That's good.
there you go,
That's excellent.
perfect.
That's excellent.
I'm shocked that you didn't include Johnson grass.
It is, it's on the red line.
Oh,
It's on the damn page.
That's
It's in red. Come on, yeah.
then a mutton chop.
Reese,
Yes, sir.
correct me if I'm wrong, but there's, I mean, the state has a list of outlawed invasive.
Yeah, Texas Park
Could do
has an
several of these
official
on
list.
there. Yeah, and nationally, there's a list, and so, I mean, and I see a lot of those on this list that are on that list, so, I mean, that, some of these, they should be planted either one way or the other. right?
Exactly, yes, sir.
All right, I think we solved this. Anybody have anything else?
Welcome to the world of making sausage.
It's okay,
Tyler, I
I
have
wanna
one
get it right.
question, if you don't mind.
Now,
And
just
this has more to do
a
with,
suggestion to y'all, the changes that you're making need to be made in a motion approved by y'all, so Tyler.
Tonight?
Yeah.
Yes. Any changes you're making
As soon as I
tonight need to be a
finish-
motion that you approve
As
as
soon as
it
we
comes
finish
forward to the
changing
council.
things, we'll make one,
Motion.
two.
I think,
yeah,
comes out of.
yeah, so, you know, if this gets approved tomorrow, because you mentioned, so there is there's a process here, and I guess the application, I guess the whole permitting department, they're gonna have to get up to speed on this, code officer's gonna have to get up to speed. So if we pass this tomorrow, you know, how long might it be before somebody can actually walk in and apply for this?
The permitting, I guess, process wouldn't be that difficult to set up. I could work with the permitting department and probably get this into our, system within a week. The other portion of that would be the, training, requirements. If we're just making it a optional thing, then they would apply probably as soon as the training, as soon as we get a system in place with permitting and the, native, landscape, group. As soon as we get that process in place to, hey, you submit it, we'll inspect it, we could probably get that pretty soon, but, it's just gonna depend on the steps we take with KDB and the permitting process, the code enforcement.
That would kind of be a difference between the approval date and the implementation date. And that we could approve it, looking at the last sheet in terms of when we approve it, how the signatures go on it. The implementation of it would be up to the city manager, based on what you're saying, Jerry. Now, there's gonna be time between when we approve it and when people actually do something with city staff.
It says, if you look, it says here, if you look at section 6, it's at the end, where does it say here? It says on section 6, it says, this ordinance shall take effect immediately from and after its passage in the publication of the caption as law and order such and such case. So does that mean, I'm assuming that if we vote on it tomorrow, it officially goes into effect, that evening or the next day?
It goes into effect, but it doesn't get implemented until the city manager decides to implement it.
Okay. Yes.
That's what I'm saying, there's two pieces to this. The implementation is different from the approval of the
Right.
ordinance.
Okay.
Right,
The fee
Yeah, there's
associated
one more
with the
issue.
program. Do we wanna finalize that? Fee for the program application?
Fee for the permit, and then this council needs to amend the fee schedule.
Let's leave it at 500.
We're kind of stuffy on permits. Last time we took out permits for parking, for,
Garage sale.
garage
Garage
sales.
Yeah,
We eliminated that fee.
But there's,
But
so they gotta get signage, right, and there's a couple of things that do cost.
Yeah,
right?
the signage, the city would pay for it just so they're all uniform.
Yeah, that's in there.
Yeah,
So it could be a small fee, but y'all have to decide what that
What-
would be.
You want a fee for a permit to do the landscape?
Just to pay for the sign, basically.
Do you know, does Louisville charge a fee?
Yes, they charge, I'm not going to remember that off the top of my head, but I
There
can get
was an
that.
administrative fee of some
Yes,
sort.
yes, sir.
Make sure it's nominal, so we don't
So it
discourage
covers
people.
the signs, basically.
$25.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
that's what
thinking
we're
that, but
thinking.
does that cover the sign of the, does that cover the sign, $25?
No, a sign would be much more than that.
Really?
You
yeah.
know,
It just depends on the materials used for the sign. If we're looking for something that's gonna last 3, 5, 10 years, maybe not. But we do have some inexpensive signs that we utilize within the Parks Department that you may, it definitely won't last 3 years, but,
Start out
yeah,
anyway.
you can get you started, yeah.
But we don't want it to be onerous either.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
$25 seems like an okay fee for something like this, and it's not gonna cover the price of the sign, that's not the intent. It's just that if you wanna do this, take the time to prepare the schematic, bring it in, and know that we're gonna have some enforcement. If we try to cover enforcement and the cost of the sign,
Yeah.
we'll be way out.
Too much.
right, and I can agree with the $25, and then see how it goes, and if we should need to increase based on whatever we discover along the way, then go that route, but at least start with 25.
So throw some language in there for $25.
Was that what you were thinking at first? Okay.
Yeah, and so then,
It's like when you, if you have a free swimming pool,
Direct us.
it invites riffraff. When you have a free pool, but when you have a small fee and a membership, it keeps people that invest that want to be there. Yeah, it invests ownership, and 25 is a good little, hey, I wanna do this, and
And that's
Annual
annual,
fee.
is that it?
okay, so for tomorrow night, we can approve this and we can give direction to the city manager to establish an implementation date and to direction to the city manager to amend the fee schedule for $25.
Is that annual or is
So
that?
I was about to say, we took out the reapplication every 3 years. Is
I think, I'm fine with just once.
Okay.
just
I'm fine with a one-time fee to establish it.
Unless there's neglect, unless it falls into neglect, then maybe we need to go back and say, hey, you know, what's going on, did you move?
So in our
Ownership change?
discussion tomorrow night, somebody will mention, maybe there ought to be a fee, and I can direct them to the city manager, please establish a fee of $25, and then the fee schedule is appropriate. And then also the city manager, please establish implementation date after training of our city staff and marketing.
I like it.
Do it that way.
Okay, so, we need to make a motion for the changes that we've all proposed today. I'm not good at wording. What are we calling this, the red line version?
That's what was on the email, in the attachment, was called a red line.
I'd like to make a motion to include amendments that were written by our liaison in sections 1267, 1268, 1269 to include the 5-foot spacing,
5 feet.
Oh, and removing the,
1270 to include the cities, have the correct spelling of cities.
Taking out
And
those. So, a motion that we accept those changes that we discussed. Okay, Diane seconds it? Okay,
If I just could, before you vote on that,
yes, sir.
in the second paragraph, you
On which
wanna
page?
spell out, page 1, you wanna spell out 250 instead of 500 to match the
Yes.
amount.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned 1267, 1268, 1269, you mentioned 1270, the cities, but I think you also want to change 1270A3, perennials and ornamental grass must be cut annually.
Yeah, that one too.
And on the second to last paragraph under section 5, you want to strike the words that are spelled out $500 and make that $250.
Yes, sir.
I got one more.
Okay.
1269 credit bids. Item B, that, the way this has been stricken out, it's not a complete sentence. The installation of individual shrub species in turf or native seeds areas without metal edging, but with hand dug spade edges may be approved by the city based on, and then it drops off. So it's a restructuring of that sentence to mean something that it doesn't currently mean.
I would say, I would say based on that, based on the approved residential or commercial schematic.
Yeah, based on the approval.
Schematic.
Schematic.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
That's what you do.
Mhm.
Just reword that.
Based on the approved residential and commercial schematic.
Got that, Tyler?
Do we need to restate it, or we keep that covered?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
So now, we discussed, and now we say, all in favor?
Okay, we're good. Okay, all in favor, can you please vote with an aye?
Do I need to change the motion?
No.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no, that was really good. All in favor, aye.
All in favor, aye?
Any opposed? Two. We didn't vote. Okay. The motion passes.
Well done, KDC.
We're teaming it.
Well done, KDC.
All right, now, Reese, good job. Let's just go by that.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so now we're on item number 9 with a joint meeting with the Parks and, okay, I'm sorry, thank you. So do you have an update from working with Military, which by the way, they have been great. So back during the summer, there was a couple of meetings, we had like 8 or 9 of their high schoolers, so do you have any updates with them?
Unfortunately, tonight they were not able to attend. I did speak with the, student liaison for the program. They are, I reached out at the beginning of school and they were kind of getting back acclimated, getting their clothes and stuff reorganized. But they said it is a priority for them to finish, before the end of the year. So no, they weren't able to attend tonight, so that was the only update I had for them.
Yeah, just for the city council, just so you know, they've been involved with our branding and commercial marketing. They design shirts, name tags. They have a website that they want to use in conjunction with KDB and their website. So they've been really involved with updating and using technology, drones, for example, that kind of thing. So they've done a good job there. All right, I am now on item number 9. So joint meeting like this with the Parks and Rec Advisory Board.
Yeah, we were going to meet with them.
Yes, just, I guess finalizing some, agenda items for that meeting that y'all will have in March, for some topics that you want to discuss, have addressed with them. Yeah, that meeting's on March 18th.
So come up with some ideas.
Yeah, just a couple.
I think an obvious one would be the, not the gala, but the garden, the thing at Lakeside Park.
Garden luncheon?
Yeah, the garden luncheon, that would be from I did to work with them. Maybe,
The gardens in Armstrong Park, because you said that was a Parks Board thing. Is that something?
The Rose Gardens?
Yeah.
A parks thing, we were just, that was one of the projects we had on our, checklist for the year. So, yes, we can address that as well, what they want those to look like. I was thinking more native landscaping since that's the initiative this
Are
year.
you gonna make one of them native, can you say?
Yes, that's the one I was trying to partner with, Smith, or Merrifield, Elementary.
Oh, okay, okay. Never mind.
maybe they can have some advice on certain parts of the parks, cause they have, you know, more parks focused, maybe they can have some ideas of where to put some native landscaping, some native landscaping plots like we're doing at Lakeside,
Yeah. They could suggest them.
some portions.
Hmm.
Number 10, Keep America Beautiful Cleanup Pledge. That's me.
What's that?
Yeah, that's me.
That was a new one.
Yes, so ideally, this is a new, program. So the Great American Cleanup is something we participate in every year. But last year, Keep America Beautiful wanted to, I guess, boost participation and incentivize more communities to participate. So they're setting a date of July 4th, 2026, to reduce litter by 25% all over the nation. What they're trying to do is sign up 25,000 communities with this goal in mind. They have it set up for communities with less than 100,000 participants or residents, and then more than 100,000 residents. Ideally, since we fall into the less than 100,000, they have a 3-step process of what you'll need to do to be a part of this pledge. Once you take this pledge, these are the things you'll have to do each year to, I guess, be recognized at their Keep America Beautiful conference in 2026. I did have a copy of that pledge, and I think it was more formal, so we couldn't actually have it. But I can get a copy. But these are basically the 3 initiatives. So organizing and participating in 3 new annual community cleanups. So we already do probably 6 to 8 each year. So I know that's going to be a task in itself. Hosting 2 reduce, reuse, recycle, or beautification events each year. So we have one coming up, gardening luncheon, adding an additional one. So make sure that we take that as a priority. And then celebrating 1 event each year to recognize the progress and accomplishment of the community. Reese was kind of talking about a volunteer fair, so we could kind of use that, I guess, as a celebration of our volunteers that helped us throughout the year to, bring awareness to them and also add some participation to this event. But ideally, it would be we needed a formal action that you all wanted to support this, and then this is something I would bring to council and the mayor to also get formal action on.
I want to compliment maybe Jeremy, Councilmember Kuntz. He started a leadership cleanup advocacy group. So, Mr. Kuntz, would you like to bring up briefly something about what you're doing with your group? Let's do this.
Yeah, actually several programs and initiatives tonight that we can kind of incorporate into what we're doing. But right now it's a small group of citizens. We're planning to propose a citywide anti-litter campaign that involves not just cleanups, but looking at data to identify point sources, using media in different ways to just educate on how trashy the city is at times and how we can make improvements, again, going beyond cleanups and just trying to change the culture of the city when it comes to cleanliness. So right now, those are just, we've had a couple of meetings, and so we're putting together a formal proposal that would involve partnerships with KDB, Neighborhood Vitality Commission, Parks Board. There's some policy proposals that are involved there, so it's kind of a big package, but yeah, so we'll be hearing more about that later.
I would like to throw out an idea, and I think we've done this before, where with each of our districts, led by one of us or a city councilman, to see if we can have a friendly competition to see which councilman can get the most volunteers at an event. Like, let's say, we have a trash off. Yeah, I think that, but let's do that again to where, whoever has the most volunteer hours or most volunteers, we do a pie in the face or a ducking booth or something like that. Or something like that. I know that would be cool. Something that would be fun and build publicity and a challenge to build rapport amongst you guys. So.
I'm just getting
You have me till pie in the face.
All right. Maybe if they have
There's no pumpkin pie in my case.
A banana pie, how about that?
So would this be something that y'all would like to see taken to council, for some formal action?
Oh, for that.
For the pledge, yeah, so I'll have to submit the actual pledge to the Keep America Beautiful.
I'll make a motion, yeah, of course. I don't see why not.
Okay, what's the motion?
So I'll make a motion that we incorporate the Great American Cleanup and its goal to reduce litter pickup by July 4, 2026 as a motion, led by KDB. And Jose has a second.
Second.
And then can I have a vote by aye? Aye. Any nays? And the motion carries.
All right, we're almost at the finish line. So, discussion of calendar events, so, should the calendar in your packet, do you see any changes or things that need to be discussed? The only one I wanted to mention was the KDB March meeting, is the joint meeting, with, Park Board. Everything else should be, correct, is what we discussed at the retreat. The cleanup on Saturday at Lakeside, is that still a good date everybody wants to participate in? I believe you already set up volunteers for that one.
Oh, yeah, I've sent messages to Village Tech, UME, Duncanville High School, and I'm not sure, how many can come back. I may go for Duncanville High School, I have 50 students come alone to Duncanville High School, so hopefully we show up.
All right, and that is the south side of Lakeside Park for, yes,
That's
ma'am.
at 8 a.m., right?
8 to 11,
Yes, ma'am.
8 to 11?
yes, ma'am. Outstanding that needs to be addressed at this time.
We'll be taking, business beautification in Kirkwood to council on May 5th. Annual garden workshop on, March 5th. March 9th, meeting on the 18th, household hazardous waste event. Is that, we wanted to have a tent for that one. Alright. And, the Easter extravaganza, tent to clean up on that day as well. Alright.
I have one point, do we wanna, like I say here, we have the 56th annual KDP conference, that's gonna be only virtual, correct? There's not gonna be,
Yes, that was in my staff update.
okay, I just wanna make sure it's not gonna be live.
Yes, sir.
Dadgum COVID? Okay, all right, and finally, let's move on to number 12. Tyler, that's you.
All right, so, just a few staff updates. So Keep America Beautiful, I got to attend the conference this year in San Diego. It was actually last week. It was truly a beautiful occasion. Met a lot of good affiliates and liaisons from across the country. We also did a lot of good brainstorming on new events and initiatives that we could bring to the city. So I do want to post a couple of new events that we could possibly incorporate into a lot of our cleanups to get more participation and kind of impact Duncanville in a more beautiful way as well. We also updated, or we completed our annual packets for the President Circle for Keep America Beautiful. So our affiliate standing is good with that. Keep Texas Beautiful. So we completed our annual report to sustain our Gold Star affiliate status. And then to address the annual conference this year is going to be June 24th through the 27th. It is a virtual conference, so all of you will be able to attend those virtual sessions. If you choose to, we can sign you up for those, and you can log on from wherever, attend them, participate. It still should, foster a lot of participation. We spoke with some of the reps from KTV at the conference last week, and they're excited about it. They're trying to propose new ideas for participation and keep everybody involved. Yes, sir.
So I assume that big cost will be covered by the city of Duncanville?
Yes,
There's a cost.
yeah,
Because that won't be very as much as going somewhere.
not at all.
Okay, just to make sure the cost is covered.
Yes, sir. Next, Tree City USA affiliation. So we completed our annual report for that, so we will sustain our 2024 Tree City, recognition. And then the Adopt a Park program, as mentioned, it is flourishing this year. We're signed up about 10 new, park adopters through our athletic associations and different schools that we're working with. Following up with all of our past adopters that we just haven't received any updated documentation on, so hopefully we get all of those people back as well to help participate in cleanups and, keep parks clean, with those 4 cleanups a year. Last update that was brought to my attention later, there was a request, to get more participation at the KDV board meetings. They said they were held at an earlier time, during the week, so I believe it was 10 a.m. they were hosted, during the weekdays. I was wondering if that was something that you all would want to move back to get more participation during the meetings. I can bring some type of action on the next board.
You better come with something during the day.
Yeah, I mean, is that during a weekday?
It may have
Oh,
been,
yeah.
you know, different board, they had different responsibilities, so if we wanna keep them at Monday, third Monday of the month.
Yeah, that
that's
works.
fine. Alright, that is all I have.
Okay, do you have any final questions? All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
That's so nice.
Okay, all right, all right, let's get a vote. All right, give me a second first, can I get a second? Is there a second? All right, all vote in favor, aye? Aye. Any nays? All right, timestamp is 8:16.
And with the completion of the city council business, we do not take a motion, so we are adjourned at 8:18.
Hey, council, real quick, I just found out there's a ribbon cutting tomorrow at 11:30 at Kim and Jenny's, if you didn't know.